right, my friends, welcome back. This is going to be part 43 of my presentation on the flood and Noah's Ark. And when I was going over my material for this video here, I don't know how I did it, but I inadvertently had shuffled some slides around. And the last video, some of those slides in the end really should have been in this one here. Because we're going to go over potassium-argon dating, and just briefly, we're going to go over it. And those errors and those dates that I gave you on the last video were potassium-argon dates, and so those really should have been in this one, even though that it still falls under, well, what do you call what you call radioisotope dating, and so even though it still falls under that, and that may be I inadvertently I didn't realize what I had done. And so I'm always tweaking this presentation and adding things to it, moving information around. Sometimes I'll delete some information, and just to make it a better encyclopedia, digital encyclopedia for me, and something to refer to when I need some quick information, and also for these presentations. And so, but at any rate, you're going to see some of this stuff again. You're going to say, hey, that was on the last video. That's just to make the flow better. But this video here, it shouldn't be a long one. And then the next one we're going to get into is polonium halos. And I was looking over the material on that one. I was thinking it could be only just 2 videos. It may be even longer than that. And so that is a good one. That's the one you're really going to want to watch. And so I'm going to give you some other areas that you can learn some more information on that also. And so, but at any rate, let's go ahead and get started. If you'll notice on the screen here, potassium-argon dating is one of the elements on the periodic table. It slowly decays and turns into argon, which is a gas. So the theory is when a volcano erupts, it melts the rock and turns it into lava, which comes out of the volcano. The gas escapes because it is in a liquid form, and this should set the clock back to 0, argon, leaving just potassium. Potassium has a half-life of 1.3 billion years. This is theorized time. Lava flows tested in New Zealand. This is from an article, Radioactive Dating Failure. Dates were given from a February 1975 eruption that was off, giving it a date of 250,000 years old. In 1949, they dated a sample that had erupted from a volcano in 1949 and gave it a date of a little less than 250,000 years old. And so you can see the problems here, guys. You can see it. Okay, now, as before, if you'll notice all the highlighted areas in yellow, that's what I'm going to read. The ones in white, the wording that's in white, that is a reference if you want to go back and reference that. This is for me. This is for me so I can pick out the information that I want to read, so that way I'm not trying to figure out where I am, because it can be a little confusing, but I wanted to make sure I had the references there. But going down to the next one, in conventional interpretation of potassium-argon age data, it is common to discard ages which are substantially too high or too low compared with the rest of the group, or with other available data such as geological timescale. And so again, I'm just going to briefly go over this, and you guys can check out the references if you wish. The next one there, basalt from Mount Etna, Sicily, 122 BC, gave potassium-argon age of 250,000 years old. The next one down there, lava from an 1801 Hawaiian volcano eruption gave a potassium-argon date of 1.6 million years old. Again, guys, you're seeing the issues with this, the problems with it. Now, these are, some of you that seen the previous video are going to see this material again in this one slide here. And so I do apologize, but just to make the information flow better, I just went ahead and moved it over to this one here. And so, but at any rate, Sunset Crater, North Arizona, Potassium-Argon, 200,000 years old plus is what they dated it as. But in reality, it actually, the eruption actually happened in 1065 AD. Okay, the next one. Lava flows at Mount, I'm going to say it's Norho, New Zealand. Potassium-Argon dates was 275,000 years old. In reality, there was different lava flows. So there were different dates that it actually happened, which was 1949, 1954, and 1975. And again, the potassium-argon date that was given was 275,000 years old. I'm going to say that's Hualalai. That basalt in Hawaii, Hualalai. For some of you guys that are really good with Hawaiian words, they gave it a potassium-argon date of 1.4 to 22 million years old. 1.4 to 22 million years old. That was the potassium-argon date that was given it. In reality, it happened in 1801 AD. 1801 AD. Mount Etna, basalt, Sicily. Potassium-argon date was 140,000 to 350,000 years old. In reality, it happened in 1972. Rocks that were created since the 1980 Mount St. Helens eruption dated up to 2.8 million years old, guys. And so, going on, in 1993, scientists found wood trees buried in basalt flows 69 feet deep. The wood was dated at 44,000 years old. The rocks, the basalt, was dated to be 45 million years old. Okay, explain that one. The next one down, basalt from Mount Kilauea, Iki, Hawaii, in AD 1959, gave potassium-argon age of 8,500,000 years. 8,500,000 years. Basalt from Mount Etna, Sicily. This is another one. In 1964, gave potassium-argon age of 700,000 years. All right, the next one down. New lava dome growing inside the crater since the 1980 eruption at Mount St. Helens gave dates ranging from 350,000 years to 2.8 million years. And so, again, showing you the errors in these dates, guys. It's not reliable. But yet, the evolutionists are using these things to prove or say that they've proven that the world is 4.5 billion years old. And it's not, it doesn't work. It don't work. Okay, going on to some other radioisotope dating problems. Zircons are little crystals that are found in granite rock. Inside them, they have uranium, and uranium breaks down into lead. For every atom that breaks down into lead, it gives off 8 helium atoms. The helium is just like helium in a balloon. In fact, the helium is so small that it goes right through the skin in a balloon. And this is why the balloon loses its float and shrinks. This is the same with zircon crystals. It leaks out of the same of the crystal. The rate, this is that rate research group, took some of the samples. I'm assuming it was the granite that of the above that I just mentioned, and made 2 predictions. They measured how much radioactivity has gone on in the crystal. They can measure how much helium has been produced. They can measure how much helium is then is in them, and how or that's left, and how fast it's leaking out. They made 2 estimates on how fast it's leaking out, one for a 2 billion year old rock, and another based on the assumption that it's just a 6,000 year old rock. They then had 2 labs measure the helium rate And the results came back to a 6,000-year-old rock. That matches with the biblical timeline just fine. Going to the next one. When rock is dated by more than one method, it will often yield different ages. When rock is dated, more than one time by the same method, it will often give different results. Different crystals in the same rock will also yield different ages. Now, going on to the highlighted area on the next one. As elements decay, they produce helium. This helium escapes through the rocks in the atmosphere. Very little is able to escape into space. After all factors are considered, the helium in the atmosphere indicates the Earth is less than 2 million years old. The next one, paleontology, the study of fossils. Now get this, guys, this is really key here. Paleontology, the study of fossils, is important in the study of geology. The age of rocks may be determined by the fossils that's found in them. And you got the reference there. Now, we just went through all these dating methods and these radioisotope dating stuff. And then right here, it's saying it is important in the study of geology when it's talking about fossils, because the age of the rocks can be determined by the fossils that's found in them. Now, what's really weird is that this is kind of a circular thinking, because they do date the fossils by the layers of rock that they're found in, but then they date the rocks by the fossils that's found in them. It's a circular type of thing, and they've admitted to that. They've admitted that. Let's go ahead and stop right here. When we come back, we're going to get into polonium halos. Polonium halos. And so, matter of fact, I'll just show a picture of it right here. This is a polonium halo right here. Get a good look at that thing. Get a good look at that thing. That's probably the most scariest thing to an evolutionist or to an atheist. I can guarantee you this. And so this right here brought tears to my eyes when I was studying it. And so, but guys, I do hope that you've learned something. Again, I'm not saying I'm an expert in all this stuff. When you get into creation, you kind of get your hands dirty into a little bit of everything. And so I've been trying to get up with the best people that I can trust to try to explain some of these things. And some of this is secular stuff, and some of it's Christian stuff, and kind of pull it all together and to try to make sense out of it. And it's hard to make sense. In some of this stuff, it's really kind of hard to make sense out of something that's got errors and bad dating, and it just don't work. And here I'm trying to make sense out of that. So, it's like trying to make sense out of evolution. How can you make sense out of something that has no evidence? Absolutely no evidence whatsoever. And so it boggles the mind, really, guys, when I'm talking to these folks, and they talk down to me as, like this one fella said, I was from a medieval tribe, if I believe the Bible. And they talk down to me like I'm just so lower life form. But then they believe they came from an animal that oozed out of the slime millions and billions of years ago. And they believe that we're all connected. We're all connected to a common ancestor. Plants, animals, insects, everything has a common ancestor. I mean, you got to be kidding me. And then, I don't know. I can't, it's hard for me to even put it into words. And so, but that's what makes it hard sometimes in trying to explain some of these things, is because it's not anything that you can put, lay any type of really good foundation on to build upon any type of, even a good theory, because it's flawed. It's just a flawed system. And so it's really hard to, and they play with the words and the terminology, and their theories change so much. And so it really is. Evolution is just something really hard to get your hand on, because they're constantly changing. They're constantly changing. What uniformitarianists used to believe back in the latter 1800s, they don't believe now. They don't believe now. That some of the ways that they believe then, they don't believe now. They change. They change on. And Darwin began his theory evolution as far as the organisms based upon the uniformitarian long ages. And so it's I don't know. It's a theory that's built upon a crumbling foundation. That's all I can say, or a foundation that really don't exist. And so, but at any rate, guys, you guys take care. I love you. I hope the Lord blesses you real good, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.